Why does it always have to be years? Just put us out of our misery.
No, you're going to sit with this stuff for a long time. Hate your current agent?
Yeah, click here. You don't have to work with them. They liked me so much.
Right.
They're not going to call me back.
And I don't care. And I said, and don't call me back and talk to me like this again.
Wow.
That's how bad it was. Click button to sign here with the devil.
Yeah. Okay. Podcast therapy.
Okay.
Ready?
Hi, Alissa.
Hey, Katy.
It's episode 246. The stories in your head.
The stories in your head. What do we tell ourselves?
What do you tell yourself?
Self.
Do you tell yourself? Self? It makes me think of when you say, oh, lunch with me. I can't cancel that again.
Lunch with me. I can't cancel that again.
The stories in your head. Okay. When we came up with this topic, I don't remember the actual impetus of the whole thing, but I immediately remembered, and I thought it was Mel Robbins, but it was not.
Okay.
So all of you Brené Brown fans, don't yell at me, because I did find out it was Brené Brown.
Okay.
Who said, the most powerful stories may be the ones we tell ourselves, but beware, they're usually fiction.
Oh.
Okay. So I brought, before you launch into your actual real estate stories you told yourself, do you want to hear more about Brené Brown's The Stories You Tell Yourself?
Yeah. And I also think before that,
Please.
Where we're going with this is that real estate gives you a lot of opportunity to make up things in your head.
Fill in the blanks.
Yes.
Real estate is a lot like Mad Libs.
Yeah.
Like, what is happening?
Where did that person go when they ghosted me?
Right.
Is my seller angry? Do they hate me?
You have so many opportunities to make assumptions.
Yes. Yes.
And you, depending on your confidence level, are not going to ask for the real story. Right? You're just going to be like, nope, I know what happened. It's happened before.
Right. Always happens.
A lot like life. Real estate, a lot like life. All right. So I'll quickly give you the backstory on the Brené Brown, excuse me, world-renowned researcher and speaker Brené Brown, best known for her work on vulnerability and shame, introduces the concept of the story I'm telling myself in her book, Rising Strong.
Okay.
Have you ever read any Brené Brown? Me
Have
neither.
You?
No,
I'm gonna write
but
this down though.
Brené Brown is hugely famous. She had a uber viral TED Talk. This book, Rising Strong, I think was her first, but she has several books now. An amazing podcast I've listened to once or twice. But she's legit.
Okay.
Okay. But she introduced the story I'm telling myself in Rising Strong as a powerful tool for navigating difficult conversations and conflicts in relationships.
Yes.
Okay. And then this particular article I'm reading from is actually Sharika Rogers from the Marriage Point blog. This is she's looking at it in relation to marriages, but I feel like client relationships are a little bit like marriages sometimes.
Yes.
So what exactly is the story I'm telling myself? Okay. At its core, the story I'm telling myself is a way of acknowledging and examining the narratives we construct in our minds about ourselves, our partners, and our relationships. These stories are often influenced by our past experiences, fears, and assumptions, and can have a powerful impact on our emotions, behaviors, and relationships. Right? Mm-hmm. The examples of stories listed earlier, she, I guess, is going through a bunch of them, along with hundreds of other stories you could probably share with me and how this may be comical as we look back at them and share them out loud. Like what you were telling yourself and what the truth was. We're about to do your real estate versions, right?
Yes.
Okay. So using the concept of the story I'm telling myself, you can pause and reflect on what's really going on instead of assuming the worst. You can ask your partner or the person that's in this relationship with you what's going on and share the story you're telling yourself.
Oh.
You actually would say, you know what? The story I'm telling myself is you're mad because blah, 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 or you're upset that I did blah, 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 or you don't want to work with me anymore or whatever. Okay. By doing this, you can start to understand each other's perspectives and work towards a more positive and constructive conversation. And here's how the story I'm telling myself is going to help you. It's going to improve communication, right? Manage conflict. So if it's something going on, build trust and increase emotional intimacy. And that's basically the whole story.
Okay.
But I think that was kind of a good overview from the Sharika.
Yeah.
Thank you, Google machine. about the story I'm telling myself. If you're enjoying this episode of Podcast Therapy, you need to join us in the Hustle Humbly community on Thursday at 2 p.m. Central for Thursday Therapy.
We will be talking through your current struggles and questions together as a group. If you are not a community member, you still have time to join. Head over to hustlehumblypodcast.com/membership. See you there. That was very helpful. When I was a newer agent, I feel like I told myself a lot more stories because my confidence wasn't there yet.
Right.
So I just assumed everything was my fault. I showed them houses and then they ghosted me. It was me.
Right. And you don't have enough track record to know the difference.
Right.
So you're just like, well, it must have been me.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like me.
And I find myself, like every now and then, a story will sneak up on me and I realize like, oh, I am telling myself this and I don't even know. Like I get in a funk or
Right.
I have a difficult client situation.
Right.
You know, whatever the case may be, that causes me to slowly but surely start creating this whole narrative.
Yeah.
I also feel like this happens a lot when we tell our clients about the other party. Like when when you're like, well, the seller said they won't make that repair, they start telling themselves, these sellers are mean. These sellers are a jerk. They're not nice. And then you make it to the closing table eventually and everyone's like, oh,
They were so friendly.
they were so friendly.
So kind.
But buyers and sellers also make up so many narratives and stories in their head about who's buying or selling their house. And we have to manage that as well.
Yeah. All the assumptions of all the parties.
Yeah.
Everyone's making assumptions, not just you.
Mm-hmm.
The other agent is making assumptions. Well, your seller isn't being very negotiable. Well, hey, guess what? The seller is in bankruptcy and they literally have no more money to give. Like, you don't know the story.
Mm-hmm. Even when I do have a very difficult seller, I try not to ever let the other side know that.
Don't know.
You know, just
you're there to
just
soften.
saying, look, you know, I understand these repairs were very important to your buyer.
Mm-hmm.
My seller is in a situation where this is all he can really do.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're not trying to be ugly. This is just the response.
Right.
We would love to keep it together.
Yeah.
You know, but never be like, look, I'm
Right.
dealing with like such a terrible person over here. And I can't tell you how many times I have heard that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I hear that all the time. Oh, the seller's terrible. Oh, this buyer doesn't listen. Oh, they're never going to. I have also had agents say the seller's terrible. They'll never do that. La, la, la. And I'll be like, well, you have to ask them because I'm putting it here. And then the seller does it. And then the agent is still like miffed about it. Like,
Right.
I can't believe they did that. They said they didn't want to do repairs and now they're doing all these repairs. I'm like,
But were you ever the boss and say, this is how it goes?
or just be like, they're allowed to change their mind.
Yeah.
You can't put the seller in a box
Mm-mm.
or the buyer. Well, I do like when you say, you said
Yeah.
you wanted to live in a 3-bedroom home.
Yeah.
And this is a 2-bedroom home.
Are you sure we need to go look at this? I'm just
You
going off
said.
of what you said.
You said. Okay, I think there are some general stories that realtors tell themselves. Before you tell me a good, like, real story, sellers don't want to pay my full service commission.
Mm-hmm.
Automatically, everyone rolls into that listing appointment like, sellers don't want to pay this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to convince them. I'm going to beg them.
Right.
They don't think I'm worth it.
And I don't think I'm worth it either.
And I don't think I'm worth it either. My market is oversaturated. My favorite. There's just too many agents in this market. My market is oversaturated.
Mm-hmm.
And then my sphere thinks I'm bothering them when I reach out. This is the story I'm telling myself.
Yes.
Nobody wants to hear from me.
I can't go to a birthday party and mention what I do for work.
Or just ask someone else what they do and then answer when they ask you.
Well, then you're only going to your kids' friends' birthday parties to be salesy.
Right, like,
It's like those are the narratives.
And that was my last one. Asking for business is salesy.
I have another one.
Okay.
I'm not successful because of my brokerage.
Oh, that's a good one.
Like you
What are the
have to
stories
make it
you're
work.
telling yourself?
Yeah,
like,
it's-
oh, I have to change brokers in order to be successful.
if I do this, if I buy this product,
This
my
online
business will be
lead,
better.
Yeah. If I join this team, if I buy this online lead, if I do these things. Like, what are the stories you're telling yourself? Are they really based in fact?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I have a quote for you.
Well, please.
we don't see things as they are.
Mm-hmm.
We see things as we are.
Oh, yeah. I love that one.
So good. And it really related to me with when I was newer because I saw just the natural shift of confidence.
Yeah.
And with that confidence and getting some transactions under my belt, I knew, like I was very passionate about giving this advice because I knew it was good advice. I have seen it work.
Right. And look, you only have to sell 2 houses or 1 house to have been involved in more transactions than a first-time buyer. Like literally, you have to only have done 1.
Yes.
And then you're like, I've done this. Or 2, then you're like an expert, right? So it is so interesting, though, how we just get caught up in our head. Mm-hmm. Do you want to hear something about ADHD? With our friends with ADHD, there is something called, I think it's rejection sensitivity. It's got some initials, but basically they can get in that loop in their head where they're super sensitive to rejections. Even when they're not rejections, they make them out to be like an actual rejections. But I think everyone falls victim to this at some point. Like you just take things so hard and you almost have to like do it over and over again in order to like get used to the rejection. We have a whole episode on rejection.
Yes.
And I think you get used to it after a while. Mm-hmm. The other thing about our sweet ADHD friends are they're always thinking. So the story you're telling yourself isn't just one story. It's like 6,000 stories all the time running in your brain. Like it's hard to turn that off.
Yeah, it's very hard to turn that off. And there's actually a term for it too. Ready?
Oh, right. What?
Rumination.
Oh, rumination.
So rumination is continuously thinking the same thought.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like tons at one time, but if you're thinking something over and over and over again, it's called rumination. And it is the number 1 risk factor for depression and anxiety.
Right, because you're creating a pattern.
Yes.
And then you're just in that loop and that pattern, and you default back to that.
That's your go-to.
Yeah.
And then because you are telling yourself the wrong narrative, you're even more hesitant to pick up the phone, to reach out again, to try again.
Right.
Because you are telling yourself, this person doesn't like me.
Yeah.
This person is upset with me.
Yeah.
So there are things that I think it's time for a story.
Okay, please. Do you want to go first?
One of my very first clients, I still remember them. I had communicated with them forever. They came through one of my open houses back in like 2012. So here I am, like
sweet, youthful,
young
16-year-old face.
Look like I'm 16 and probably wearing my blazers and my suit for this open house that they came to. But they were just the nicest couple. He was actually the principal at a local school.
Okay.
And I think maybe that's why he's like, look at this child.
How sweet.
She's trying to make it in the world. Anywho, they just chatted with me forever and were fascinated by, oh, you're doing this while you just finished school and you went straight to this. Anyway. So I gave them my card and they signed in my sheet and I wrote them a thank you for coming to my open house letter, and we start looking at houses. They reached out to me back and said, look, we would love for you to help us find a house. I said,
you were like,
great.
Me?
Yeah. The one of my first clients ever.
Okay.
I was like, it's working. You know, they said if you do open houses and follow up with people and be yourself, then it'll work. And so it's working. So I showed them a few houses and it was going well. And then one day they disappeared.
Hey.
And I was just beside myself.
You're like, I can't believe this.
I couldn't believe it. I was so disappointed and just knew I had done something wrong.
How many times did you reach out when they disappeared?
Like probably a lot, I would say. I mean, this was, over 10 years ago. But regularly.
Yeah.
And then it just got to where, once a month, I would just say,
you were like, hey.
Did you, could they have responded? Sure, but they didn't. And so because they didn't respond, I was just.
You had to fill in the blanks.
I was filling in the blanks, and I'm not going to fill in the blanks in a positive way.
No, because they were gone.
Yeah. Like,
you didn't say.
They liked me so much.
Right.
They're not going to call me back. So fast forward.
Okay.
Like 2 years.
Oh, my.
Yeah, this was very tumultuous. Okay.
Yeah.
And I will say, in this 2 years, I feel like it sort of carried over into my other buyer relationships.
You thought they were all going to, you had abandonment issues.
I did. Because I thought these people I thought were legit.
Right.
And if they can ghost me.
They fooled you into thinking they liked you.
And if they can ghost me, anyone can ghost me.
Anybody.
Okay. So fast forward 2 years. Okay. And she calls me.
Okay.
And I'm like, hello? She's like, Alissa, it's Susie.
Right.
I know we haven't, really gotten to talk, and I wanted to apologize for that, but this house just came up and we'd really like to see it. And I'm thinking,
why?
This
what?
lady here, she abandoned me.
Yeah.
And just expects me
to
I would like to point out, I am making this all about me.
Correct.
This is about me.
She hurt your feelings.
She hurt my feelings. This is about me.
Yeah.
You expect me to come after 2 years of reaching out to you.
Right.
And I would like to keep in mind the house she was reaching out about is one that I still she got it from the auto drip that I just kept going for their search.
Okay.
Like I had set up a search for them.
Left it.
I just kept it going. And then in between, I would reach out every now and then.
Okay.
So she was like, I saw that one, I think it's worth looking at. I'm like, okay. So I'm like, I guess I should just go and try to talk to them in person and see. So I get to the house early. I turn on the lights and they walk up and she has no hair. And she is so skinny. And I saw her and my face dropped and she said, I know. I've just not been in a good place.
Right.
I found out very quickly, after we last chatted, that I had a very aggressive cancer. I wasn't sure if I was going to make it for a while there. Good news, things are looking better and I'm sorry. She owed me nothing.
No
Would
doubt.
a little bit of just a quick text.
Hey, having some personal issues won't be looking right now.
Would that have been appreciated? Yes.
Sure.
Would that have been hard?
She had
No.
bigger fish to fry.
But she had way bigger fish to fry than me.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was just like, girl, I don't.
And it just actually shattered my brain.
You were like, oh my God.
2 years of wondering and ruminating about this.
You're like, oh man.
And I was like, it had nothing to do with me. And how dumb of me and self-centered of me.
Yeah.
To just instantly think everything's about me.
Everything's about you.
And she was going through something life-altering, rocked her world. Her first thought was, I need to call that 20-year-old realtor and tell her about my issue. No, she never thought that.
Mm-hmm.
They bought that house that I showed them that day. We got the sale done, and I still keep in touch with them now.
Yeah.
And they would send me pictures of the renovation they were doing. But it's I could have ruined that I could have self-destructed that relationship from the story in my head.
Yeah.
Just being mad. How dare you? I'm not coming to show you a house after you ghosted me.
And you should have been putting out good vibes for her.
I know.
She needed them.
I could have been praying for her this whole time.
Right. Had she responded, you could have thrown her a prayer or two.
Instead, I was over here, self-destructing, making it about me.
Right.
But it really made me go, you never know.
You never know. I have one like that.
Yeah.
Are you done with that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I have a client who was a referral. It was the longest referral string I have. It was I got a referral, and then they referred me to all their sisters and the mom, and then the sisters' friends. The sisters would then refer me. It was if I had to do a family tree of who gave me the most business, it was this family, right?
Okay.
They sent me one of their best friends that worked with them. A couple of the sisters worked together. They sent the best friend. They're they were all young first-time buyers when I worked with them. She's also young, ready to buy her first house, looking in the area close to where we bought. Well, you showed her? Yes. I mean, we even went to a few showings. The friend came, the girl was there. She was a, single young girl. I was just so excited to work with her. She was so excited. She was sorting out some financial stuff. And then there was a reason why there was like a little break, I think, while she was doing that. And then I just didn't really hear from her. But we had become friends on social media, and I would follow her and comment just to kind of like keep in touch, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited to work with you. I'm going to follow you. I'm going to keep in touch with you this way. And then, of course, here we are one day. She posts this picture of this precious house that she bought. And I was just ill. I was like, oh my God. First of all, I'm sad that I lost her. But the house she bought, I was like, this is the kind of house I want to sell. Why would she buy this with someone else? The curb appeal, the cuteness of this house, everything. I was just like, I even had seen it on the MLS and thought, this house is so precious. And then to have one of my, here I'm doing my air quotes, clients.
One of your clients, so I thought.
Buy this house.
Okay.
I was just like, wow. Like, why would she not work with me? I just don't get it. Mm-hmm. And, since she posted on social media and we had been communicating for, let's just say, a couple of years this way, I just responded and said, oh my gosh, this house is so cute. I saw it in the MLS. I'm so happy for you. I hope
Did you DM her, or was it like on a photo?
No, like I DM'd her, I think. And I was just like, I hope that, you're really happy there or something like that. And she was like, thanks so much. She had gotten engaged or started dating someone in the interim. And she was like, we're so excited, whatever. And I just left it at that. I didn't ask her why. I just was like, you know what? I'm going to be the bigger person. And then but in my head, I'm like,
that sucks.
She didn't want to work with me. Like, yeah. I don't know why. I swear to you, years passed. And
why does it always have to be years? Just put us out of our misery.
Y'all, you're going to sit with this stuff for a long time. Like, when something bad happens, you may not know the end of the story for a really long time.
Oh.
So a couple of years or more pass, and the one who had originally referred me to her calls me over to the house. She's like, I think we might be ready to sell, because it's been plenty of years since they bought. And I'm like, okay, great. I come over to sit with her. We have lunch at their house, look at the house, talk, because we were friendly. And then I don't know, it came up. Like the friend, the friend came up and she said that they had actually had, like a falling out in their relationship, and it was strained. And basically, I think I was too close to that side of the relationship. Yeah. And she was kind of like,
it wasn't you.
No, it wasn't me.
It was her.
They had a thing. And so now, fast forward even further, let's give it another year or two. The original girl with the cute house that I'm so sad about calls me and is like, hey, we're moving and we want to sell this cute house.
Oh my gosh.
The cutest house in the history of the world. And I was like, you want me to sell it? I'm like so excited. I'm like, the house.
You're like, answers, closure.
I'm so happy.
It's coming full circle.
I'm like, I would love to do that. I'll be right over, whatever you need. And I think when I was there, I'm like, well, so tell me about who sold you the house, because why aren't you working with them? And she's like, oh, that was like a friend of my new husband at the time, and he was a terrible agent, and we hated the process, and it was just awful, and we would never, ever work with him again.
Wow.
And I was just like, okay.
Oh,
and I'm like, well, I can't tell you how excited I am to work with you, but to sell this house.
Because I love this.
Because I love it.
I love that you asked. We've said before on other episodes, if you're wondering, if you're thinking, if you're in your head, just ask.
Yeah.
We're sharing some success stories right now, but I'm in the middle of one right now.
We don't know if it's going to be a success.
Well, it's going to be fine, but I'm in my head about it.
Tell us about it.
Okay. Podcast therapy.
Okay.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
A friend's parent called me to sell their house.
Okay.
They let me know they're going to go build over here in this neighborhood.
Great.
That I'm familiar with, but I wasn't asked to. They already told me they had
they're in it.
Sort of talked to they haven't signed anything. They've talked to a builder, this and that.
Okay.
So in this situation, this builder is always paying a buyer's agent.
Okay.
Even if you don't have a buyer's agent, it doesn't save you money.
Right,
it doesn't save. So they're very buyer agent friendly.
Okay.
Like,
love it.
Yeah. Like you should, I think the builder's like, please go get an agent.
I don't want to
be your
run
agent.
interference on you.
Right.
Got it.
So I go to the house for the listing appointment, and the seller / buyer is pretty direct and blunt, but in a way that I appreciate because I'm sort of that way as well, and have gotten more so over the years because I have learned that staying in the cycle of wondering, the second you ask, the cycle's ended. Yeah. It is over.
Right.
So I appreciate his communication style. So he's like, hey, I just want to give you a heads up. We're going to go meet to sign this contract on this new build. And, I was fine just doing it myself. I don't really need an agent to help me build this house.
Okay.
I know what I'm doing. I built this house that you're about to sell.
Okay.
But they told me that it doesn't save me any money
to not
have an agent.
Okay.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'm very familiar with the neighborhood. I know the builders in there. Like, I'd be happy to represent you. It's a great area. So he's like, okay, well, I'll let you know. So we just put that to the side and worked on the listing appointment for his house that we were going to sell. So the next day, the builder calls me, someone I knew, and was like, hey, so-and-so let me know that he may be adding you to the contract next week. And I just wanted to touch base with you. He did ask me if he had you involved, would it change the price? And I told him no, that, and when he told me you were his agent, I was like, yes, like definitely call her,
Okay.
So I said, well, thank you for saying that.
Right.
And, that's exactly the conversation I had with him as well. And the builder was like, oh, good. And I said, yeah, that's actually what I appreciate about this guy. He basically told me,
right,
if you're going to cost me money, like I'm not going to use you. And I was just like, I appreciate the honesty. Yeah. It actually doesn't cost you any money. So it was just a transparent, blunt conversation that I appreciated. Well, so I'm on the contract. I went to the architect meeting. I went to the meetings. Okay, well, now when the builder sends us all on the same chain, his agent, me, my buyers, my buyer keeps taking me off the chain. So
this is fascinating.
And I'm thinking, okay.
Like he responds and removes you?
Yeah, leaves everybody else.
Okay.
So one of the chains, after the architect meeting, after everything, the builder sent a message to all of us and said, hey, we need to schedule this meeting to look over this. Let me know how your schedule looks. The next day, the builder said, hey guys, great meeting yesterday. Here's the notes that and I'm just like, oh, have I missed a meeting? But then I see below
that he removed you.
Yes, and the builder keeps adding me back. And he keeps removing me. So it's very hard. I'm a professional get out of my header at this point.
Right.
But this one is throwing me for a loop. This one's tricky because it's very intentional.
So wait, have you asked him?
So it got to the point where I was just very in my head. So I'm talking to myself, Alissa, you know that you're in your head about this. You're taking it personal, rightfully so. But I don't think this is all about you. Maybe you just need to ask him.
Right. What's going on? So
I sat down with Connie.
You're like, help me.
I need to, because I wanted to send him an email and then follow up. So Connie helped me, write an email that was just because I was like, this is what I want to say, but I need it to sound professional. So, I should have pulled it up, but I didn't. So I basically just said, hey, I know that, you've built your houses before. You let me know from the beginning that you didn't necessarily need me involved. When I am involved in a transaction, I do pride myself on working for all of my transactions. I also want to let you know I am available for all of these meetings.
Yeah.
So if you ever want me at a meeting, I am available.
Right.
In the meantime, the builder is copying me on all the selections and choices and changes. And I am keeping track of everything in my file just to have an extra set of eyes. Okay. I know you're very diligent.
Right.
But I'm also tracking everything. And I don't want to overstep or intrude, but I am here.
Right.
If you need me.
Okay.
I sent that about 6 weeks ago.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Wait a minute. What?
Never even responded. So then I got really in my head and I called the builder.
Uh-huh.
I said, look, I don't know what exactly or why, from the beginning that he didn't care if I was involved.
Right.
And that he just kind of put me on there. But I'm sort of personally struggling with my value because I don't necessarily care to just show up at closing and pick up a check.
Right.
I said, I am in my head a little bit and I wanted to call you personally and let you know that the reason I haven't been at any of these meetings is because I don't know about them. And I appreciate that you have kept me in the loop and I have told him that I'm available.
Right.
I don't think he wants me at these meetings. I'm not quite, I know that he is very particular and he has this under control.
Okay.
But I am not used to being on a contract where I'm not involved.
Okay. What did the builder say?
The builder kind of just laughed and said, I know you. I know that this would never be your MO. He said, to be honest, the meetings have all been very last minute. He knows what he wants and he is going to stick to his stuff. So, I don't think you're doing anything wrong. And I said, okay, well, I didn't want to look bad to you, the builder, because I said, at this point, I may not see you till closing. And I'm not really okay with that, but I'm not sure what to do about it either.
Mm-hmm.
So the builder we're still building. And
what happened with the listing?
So with the listing, I had somebody who I thought would be the perfect buyer for it.
Okay.
And I reached out to him and I said, look, I have someone who I would like to show, because we weren't going to list it right away because he's building.
Right, waiting for the house to be done.
We were going to wait till we were a little closer.
Okay.
I said, would you be willing to let me show it? He said, well, if you have the buyer, I don't want to. It's not that he didn't want dual agency. So he's like, you just represent them. I will represent myself.
Okay.
So I'm like, actually, in this situation, I'm like, great. Okay. I would rather that. I think dual agency would be tricky.
For sure.
Here.
Okay.
So I wrote the contract. On the listing agent side, for the title company stuff, I just put for sale by owner instead of listing agent. So the title company will know he is representing himself.
Okay.
So it's a tricky situation where I am representing the buyer on his listing.
Uh-huh.
Got him exactly what he wanted. He got to pick the close date, which was 5 months away.
Yeah.
The buyers were willing to let them do that.
Okay.
Everything is going extremely smooth. My buyers asked for nothing during the inspection.
Okay.
The perfect situation.
Okay.
Yeah. But when it comes, and his wife is talking to me.
Oh, well, wait. What did she say?
Not a lot. She will respond.
Okay.
To an email.
Did she respond to the email 6 weeks ago?
And I sent it to her too. She did not. But I will say, when I pick up the phone and call her, I feel so much better.
Okay, because she answers and...
It's so pleasant.
Okay.
But I haven't done that in a minute. I was doing it. And then I just got in my head. I'm actually ruminating the last few weeks on this.
Do you think he's just removing you because you got him everything you wanted on his listing? He didn't pay you for that. And now he's just like, maybe I want you to not have to work.
I think he's just like,
stay out of my way.
I don't need you. No offense, but, and this is my story I'm telling myself. Here's my story I'm telling myself right now.
Tell all of us. Hi, friends. We owe you a huge debt of gratitude, and we wanted to say thank you for writing reviews for the show. And why do we want to say thank you?
It is because of the number of reviews that we have that Jenna Kutcher reached out to us to be on the podcast.
cutest. That's right. So your reviews not only help other people know what the podcast is about and if they should listen and if it would be good for them, it also helps the guests that we want to bring you to give you more value realize we're a show worth coming on.
Yes, the reviews give us credibility and allows us to bring these people on. So a huge thank you to everyone that has left us a review.
Yes, thank you so much. Keep bringing on those reviews.
The story I'm telling myself is that he is like, I don't want to say, because I'm also very controlling in my transactions. I think he has that in him too, which makes him the good businessman that he is.
Okay.
He does not, in fact, care to have me at these meetings because he knows what he wants it for, how it's going to be. He's telling the builder, this is what I want.
Okay.
My input is not needed.
Okay.
Why have another person there just to be there?
Well,
okay.
Okay.
That is the story I'm telling myself.
Okay.
I don't think he dislikes me per se. Could the communication be better? Yes. Do I call? Okay.
Is this a past client? How do we know him to start with?
He's my friend's dad.
Oh, right. Okay.
So that's kind of in my head too, is I don't want my friend to think I'm not doing a good job. I don't know.
Have you told them?
I don't want to talk about it.
No, just be like, hey, have your parents mentioned the process? Just wanted to make sure they're happy with my service.
That I'm not providing.
Well, they don't want you to provide it.
I know.
You can't force them.
Just this past week, the builder sent like this whole outdoor like addition that they're doing at this meeting they had that I was not a part of.
Okay.
And I responded to all.
Okay.
And said, I love this. This looks amazing. I think this is going to be perfect for this neighborhood specifically. You're going to really enjoy this space. So I'm chiming in.
Great.
But I do feel like when you get in these situations, like I'm in right now, you get to the point where you have to pick up the phone.
Probably.
There's only so much that can be conveyed via email.
Yeah.
And text message.
Right.
And he is a bit intimidating to call because he's not necessarily like a phone talk. I don't think he's a communicator.
Clearly.
But he has a very stressful job. So it's like you don't really want to call him during business hours.
Can you just call the wife and be like, hey, just checking in to make sure things are going okay?
I need to do that. But what would Katy say? Like,
hey, I'm just calling to check in and make sure everything's going okay. I saw
and then just let her talk.
The outdoor plan looks really great. You must be excited about that.
Yes. How's packing going on your house that I'm selling?
Right. Maybe they just feel like your job is done. Do you know what I mean? Like,
I know, but I feel
who
icky.
cares?
I know.
They don't. Here's the other thing. They don't care how you feel.
I know.
Obviously. And you're going to get the checks either way and just don't work with them again.
Well, this will be their forever home. And they haven't been.
Even better.
Yeah.
You're not going to work with them again.
Right.
Who cares?
I want the relationships to stay good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show up when I can with a smile.
How many past clients do you have?
I don't know.
Like hundreds?
Yeah.
1,000? Let's call it over 500? This is one, you just happen to be in it right now. These people just don't care if you do anything.
And it's like a custom house. So this is going on for like 9 months.
On and on and on. Right. It's dragging on. I do think you should call the wife and just be like, hey, I know building can be stressful. Just wanted to check in.
Okay.
You know, how's it going?
I did that in the beginning a few times, but towards the end. So for example, they were trying to figure out, because there actually may be a 1 month or so gap from their house being finished.
Okay.
But we cannot give them any more time. So they may have to like live with family or figure something out.
Wow, that's very stressful.
It is very stressful. One of my newer construction rental properties, the one by my house, came available. So I thought this would be a great time to offer some value since I'm feeling invaluable.
Right.
That's also a question I ask myself in these situations is there something I could do?
I would like to point back to the fact that you sold his house without getting paid by him, which means that the buyer who was already your buyer, you would have been paid for either way. So he basically got off without paying for you.
Yes.
So the fact that you're not really working hard on his purchase doesn't bother me as much because he didn't pay you to do the sale.
Right.
And you brought him the buyer.
I know.
Got him everything he wanted and he didn't have to pay you.
I know.
This guy doesn't bother me at all. I would be like, you're weird. And if you want to take me off the emails, fine. I'm going to show up and get my check and smile and be polite. I might even bring you a housewarming gift.
I know. But I'm awkward in this situation.
I think you can keep reaching out to the wife, though.
Okay.
Hey, what happens if you text her? Does she respond?
Mm-hmm.
I would call and text her, just be like, hey, checking in again. I know it's been a few weeks. Yeah. I love the outdoor plan. Is everything going okay? What's the time? I know that so-and-so husband doesn't communicate. So
I messaged them. I emailed them the link to my rental property.
Okay.
The pictures are so good because it was like, it's empty. It's, I said, hey, I know y'all are in transition. We're working on figuring out timing. I just had this rental close to your home become available. Before I put it on the market, I wanted to check and see if you had any need for it, if you wanted to rent it for like a month or two so that you could start moving out, if you needed to stay there while you're in transition.
Right.
Just let me know before I decide to put it back on the market.
Nothing?
Nope. So I messaged the wife something unrelated.
Okay.
Via text.
Okay.
And she did respond and said, hey, great rental. Thank you so much for thinking about us. But we don't need it or something. So I was like, okay, just wanted to make sure.
And have you asked your friend whose dad it is anything?
No, because
just be like, hey, how are your parents handling the build process? I know sometimes it can be difficult.
Earlier on I did, and they were like, oh yeah, they're there every day. Like they're at the construction site every day.
Have you been to the construction site?
A few times. I even sent them one time I went by just to take a video and to be like, hey, I went by your house. It looks so good. And then I thought, well, that was dumb. He goes every day.
But did they respond?
No. So it's just one of those things where here's the deal. We cannot control their response. Okay. Would it have been easy for my sweet, sweet client with cancer to just shoot me a text at some point in that 2 years and tell me she might be dying?
Yeesh.
That would have been so helpful for me. But that didn't happen. About you. It's not about me. He is under a lot of financial stress right now, I am sure. Mm-hmm. He's been in his house for 30-something years. Yeah. This is a big deal to them that they are moving. Mm-hmm. That is very stressful. And here I am trying to make it about me. Would a little bit
you're not letting me work hard enough.
You're not. Yeah. Would a little bit of communication be appreciated? Yes.
But at this point, in this case,
I'm like,
you're already in it. Like your name's on it. You're getting paid.
I know.
The builder knows you're not trying to be.
I know. And ever since I had the conversation, honestly, I realized I cared more about what the builder and the builder's agent thought.
Did you talk to the agent?
I did. We're good. So they know. They know.
I'm going to go with a who cares on this.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Right.
I know you care, but I mean,
But I'm getting to where I'm trying to get out of the cycle.
Take it as a gift.
Right. I'm trying to get out of the cycle of caring in a negative way. I'm trying to change the story I'm telling myself. Because even just saying, he doesn't dislike me. He just knows what he's doing and doesn't want my help. So
I would also probably say he doesn't value agents in general very much.
I think that's true. I think that's fair.
Because he was like, I can totally handle this on my own.
Yeah.
But if they're going to force me to pay someone, I might as well let you be paid.
And I'm going to triple check that you being involved does not cost me anything.
So you know what I mean? He's like, well, if I have to, I might as well give it to someone that's friends with my daughter.
And to be honest, the builder said, Alissa, so many agents never come to these meetings.
Right.
And I never get a phone call. So just the fact that this is bothering you.
Right. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Okay.
But just talking it out.
Yeah.
With you, I was saving it for podcast therapy.
Oh, great. Perfect. Do you feel better?
I will call her when I leave here. And maybe I should do it on air.
Oh my God.
How funny would that be? I'm not going to do that.
What if she was like, yeah, well, we're really disappointed in you?
Then I would y'all can watch me cry on air and fall apart on YouTube, okay?
Stop.
Oh, man. But just talking it out and getting out of my head is I've done what I can. I know I'm valuable.
Look, I've had many clients, not many. I've had at least one that I remember specifically who didn't want to pay me to start with, was rude the whole time, yelled at me, was not happy that I was at closing, tried to fire me after we were already under contract and I was the listing agent. And I was like, this isn't how any of this works, sir. And you're not a nice person and I don't care. And I said, and don't call me back and talk to me like this again.
Wow.
That's how bad it was.
Okay.
I will talk to your wife. Do not call me and talk to me this way again. Not going to happen.
What'd he say? Just, the end.
I think at some point I almost feel like I had to hang up. Like he was going to yell at me. I'm just like, nope.
Absolutely not.
Not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen.
Ah.
For all you know, these people are in the middle of trying not to get divorced. Someone does have cancer. Their parent is dying.
So many things.
They decided their business is going to shut down and they're not sure how they're going to pay for this, but they're stuck in this contract. I don't know.
And before I sent the email saying like, do you need anything from me? I'm available for these meetings. I was telling myself, Alissa, you always tell people if you're thinking something, just say it.
Yeah.
Just ask it.
But even in the email, you didn't say, hey, I don't feel like I'm doing much to earn this commission.
No, I never said that.
Why not?
I don't know.
Hey, how's the build process going? I just want to tell you personally, like, I know that your husband is very busy and you seem to be a little bit, easier to get in touch with. I'm just feeling a little, uncomfortable with the amount of work I'm doing, like something.
I'm feeling uncomfortable that I'm not working well, but really? If you're okay with it, I also don't want to, I did say that in the email, like I'm used to working, so I'm here to do that, but I also don't want to overstep.
I mean, at this point, they're just being rude.
Well, it doesn't take much to just communicate. But again, it goes back to that's not the part we can control.
No, I think you should just be like, I've done everything I can. I will reach out a couple more times. I will show up to closing and smile. I've been to many an uncomfortable closing. Haven't you?
Yeah.
Where you're just like,
yeah.
Be like, give me the check. I'll be out of your hair.
Yeah.
We're not going to, if you really truly believe and you have done everything that you can and he still just doesn't want you to be involved, who cares?
Right. That's their choice.
This is on you, sir.
I know. Again, you can't control. So I did read about some other things that you can do to help you get out of the cycle.
Oh, let's hear it.
One is talking it out with someone.
Great.
Thanks, Katy. Thanks, everyone listening.
Happy to help. Happy to help.
Listening to my my therapy session here while I figure out my thoughts.
Oh, wait. While you speaking of that, the next week. So actually not this week.
This week is the Thursday therapy session for the Hustle Humbly community.
It is. We're going to have therapy.
I forgot about
together as a group, not with a therapist, just with us talking.
Yeah, just us. It'll be us.
Talking it
group
out.
Therapy together.
If you're not in community yet and you're like, man, I really could use someone to talk out this kind of stuff with, now's the time.
Yeah.
Now's the time.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
hustlehumblypodcast.com/membership.
Yeah. Are we still doing an ad or should I say what I want to say about that now?
No, there'll be an ad in this episode somewhere.
Okay.
Just move on.
Okay. Outside of talking it out with either a therapist or friend, P.S., you have to be mindful of which friend you're talking it out with.
Where are they coming at it
and
from?
Are they in a positive place to help you or are they going to just feed you more negativity?
Yeah, don't let them help you dig you deeper in a hole.
That's why I knew you were going to be the one to talk to, Katy.
Thank you.
Second thing you can do is journal.
That's good.
Yeah, just get it out. You just got to get it out. What's that song? If I get it out on paper, it'll...
I don't know. Is it a country song?
No, it's like Alanis Morissette, I think.
I don't know
her
it.
Song about like her thoughts. If I get them out on paper, they'll stop threatening the life they belong to.
Oh my God, I don't know this song.
That's not Alanis Morissette. Anywho,
carry on.
Challenge your thoughts.
Okay.
So say, this is what I'm thinking. He finds me invaluable. Are you invaluable? No. Did he tell you in the beginning that he wanted to do this on his own? Yes. Did he tell you from the beginning that as long as it doesn't cost him anything, he was going to just put you there, but he didn't necessarily... Yes!
You're just like an afterthought for him.
He just told me that all in the beginning.
You're just like an accessory and he doesn't care for accessories.
So you have to challenge the narrative you're telling yourself.
Okay, I love that.
Why am I saying this? Okay? And then you have to actually confront it. Like, pick up the phone. ask the question.
Yeah.
Say what you're thinking. If you have a seller that you think is mad at you, just call and say. You will always feel better after the phone call, even if it's not the best phone call in the world.
Yeah.
Because you have some answers. You have some closure.
Right. I had the same thing, just confront it head on, right? Yes. So if it's like in the case of your client buys a house with someone else or lists with someone else, and then you like, I've reached out to many a buyer who ended up buying something else with someone else and be like, hey, I'm so happy for you. I hope you enjoy your new home. Could you let me know, why you chose to go with another agent? Is there something I could have done better? I'm always looking to improve my business.
I love that. I've sent that email a few times. I don't always get a response.
But at least you're like,
I put it out there.
Sometimes you do get a response though.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh no, I really did think you did a great job. But my mom was like, you have to use Aunt Sally. And I was like, oh, all right, fine. And I just didn't even know how to tell you.
Right.
That kind of stuff.
Okay. Next story, shorter than this one.
Okay, great.
I had a client that I helped them buy their first home. They quickly sold that home like 3 years later to get something totally different.
Okay.
Then they wanted to sell that home a few years later. So this is over the course of like 8 years.
Okay.
We've became friends on social media. Their first house it took a minute to sell. So I was there a lot. I did a lot of open houses. I was spending a lot of time with them. So then when they bought the new house, we went through that together. They told me they were thinking about selling.
Okay.
So I went over and did a listing presentation and what I thought it was worth. And it went well, I thought. 3 months later, it's on the market. And I'm just like, these people?
That you've worked with many times.
Yeah. And like, we always joked, like, I'm your realtor for life. Like, we've been together all this time and we comment on our stuff with the kids online and and then I saw who they listed it with and I was like, but why? Why on earth?
And
I didn't say anything. I ruminated.
Oh, man.
Okay. So then she posts later their new house that they bought.
Okay.
And she's like, this is our forever home.
You're like,
I'm like, yeah, right. But she's like, this is the next chapter of our lives and we're going to renovate this old house and this and that. And so I DM'd her and I just said, because I knew I had to, right?
Yeah.
I had to. And I just said, the house is so cute. I love that y'all landed back in an older home. And I think I asked, I don't remember how I said it, but I was like, I hope I didn't do anything wrong in the listing appointment. And she goes, I am so glad you have reached out because I have been feeling so uncomfortable. Like I wanted to reach out to you, but I didn't know what to say.
Like, hey, sorry, I broke your heart.
Yes. She said, I saw this house that we bought come up on Zillow. And I clicked on that button that said, like, do you want to see this house?
The button should just say on it, pure evil.
Yeah, yeah. You want to break up with your realtor for life?
Hate your current agent?
Yeah. So click here. You don't have to work with them.
So she saw it on
this
Zillow.
Couple is so sweet. Like, the nicest of people. So they click this button and this agent is like, I'll meet you there right now. Like, let's go just look at it. Like, you don't need to do anything. Let's just go look at it. Okay. So she said, we thought that was kind of weird, but we really wanted to see it. So we just drove over and we loved it. And, we kind of mentioned that we had an agent and he got pretty upset and said, well, because I showed you the house first, I have the right to represent you in the transaction. And if you let me represent you in the transaction, I will list your house for X%.
Less. Low.
And we were just like, well, that does make sense. And like, this house that we're buying is a project house and
we need all the money
we can get. And he just told us that because he showed it to us, we have to buy it with him. Pissed me off.
I'll say.
So anywho,
click button to sign here with the devil.
Yeah. She was like, it wasn't the experience I hoped for.
You don't say.
So he closed both of them, and the list price, I knew it wasn't the price because I thought maybe my price was not what they thought, but they listed for the price I gave them. So I thought that's not it. I'm trying in my head.
Will you write the name of the agent very small here? Because I wonder if it's the same agent from my story.
Yeah, do
you remember?
Yeah, it'll come back to me.
Okay.
So, anywho, it's been like a year and a half, and I get this message from her.
What?
And she's like, hey, look, we're not
project
moving
people
right now, but like this house has a lot of issues. And while we thought it would be fun to renovate,
not so fun anymore.
The issues and I'm thinking, how was your home inspection? What did you negotiate?
That guy didn't care?
No, they didn't care at all. So she's like, it's just not what we hoped it would be. So if you find anything along these lines, like we're just always kind of looking, and like she's coming back.
Obviously.
And the point to that as well is don't burn the bridges.
No doubt.
If you burn the bridges when you're in your feelings, it's gone forever. But if you can stay the bigger person, ask the questions, let them know that, because even if I hadn't reached out to say like, hey, just wanted to make sure we're okay, she may have never reached out to me again simply because she's so nice.
Right. No, that's happened. Well, that's the same story as mine. I could have just been like,
yeah.
I'll just stop communicating with you on social media because you bought the cutest house ever and didn't do it with me.
And then they don't feel comfortable reaching out to you.
No, they think you're mad.
But if you're the one to reach out and be like, look, you can still talk to me.
Yeah.
And keep the door open. Because if you plan to be in this business for your career, they're going to need to sell that house at some point.
Yep.
And they will call, like, we would need another episode for me to really share all the ways that I was disappointed about something and got in my head and took it personal, only for it to work out even better later.
Yes.
But in the moment, it is so hard to remember that. And if this person is upset with you, mad at you, mean to you, it is not just to you. They are probably like that to every person in their life.
All the people.
You think they just talk to you that way?
No.
But we say, he doesn't like me.
Right.
This isn't going well because
he doesn't like anyone.
Right. And then that's when you can just let it roll off a little bit more because you're not taking it personal.
Agree. I have one more just confront it head on things you can say. So if your buyer has ghosted you and you don't know that they've bought another house, like you're just like,
yeah, where'd they go?
The buyer has ghosted me. I'm talking. They're not saying anything. You can use what we learned in Never Split the Difference, which is, have you given up on me or this? Or have just, that's it. Hey, have you given up on buying a house?
Yeah.
That's it. Don't say anything else. The other thing is you can't say a lot, just a little. But have you given? I like that one. It's like a.
Have you given up on
Have you given up on this? This guy.
Yes.
Shut the absolute front freaking door. It was the same agent from my cute house story.
No.
Yep.
And he has such a terrible reputation.
The worst reputation, but he sure must charm people when he meets them.
And then once they sign, he's gone.
I cannot believe it is the same freaking agent. He's just out there ruining our lives. I cannot.
Y'all,
no repeat
and referral business there.
He just steals people's clients. Then when they
burns
realize
the bridge,
and then goes to find another one.
Find some more.
New victim.
That's hilarious.
And for the record, y'all who are listening who aren't in our market, and if you are in our market, don't call and ask me. I'm not telling you.
We're not telling you.
But there are 4,000 agents here.
Yeah. You got that one?
The same one. I feel so much better, actually. He must be like a master manipulator. Master manipulator.
Yes.
There's no other way.
That's
okay.
Hilarious.
I also would like to say you use this in your life in other ways, not just with your clients. Like when you look at someone else's feed or their social media and you start comparing yourself, you tell yourself a story about that person based on what is out there. Oh, their business is perfect. perfect. Their life is perfect. You do not know all the facets of anyone.
No.
You hardly know all the facets of yourself.
Correct.
Which is why therapy is so helpful.
So join us Thursday.
But right. So join us on Thursday. Also, when we were preparing for this episode, we talked about that meme. You know, the meme where the man, it's a cartoon, and the man and the woman, the husband and wife are laying in bed and they're like back to back, like they're facing opposite ways, kind of like they're mad at each other, right?
Yes.
And the wife says he's probably thinking about other women, him. If two people on opposite sides of the world simultaneously drop a piece of bread, then the earth briefly becomes a sandwich. That was the best one, but they have a million versions. A million.
The world could be a sandwich.
But the truth is, you're filling in the blanks. And sometimes the other people aren't thinking about you at all.
At all.
Couldn't care less. Don't care if you're happy, sad, angry. They just you don't cross their mind.
Nobody thinks about you as much as you.
And that's totally fair.
Mm-hmm.
But you can't put those thoughts into their head, like from your head.
Right.
Like you just can't.
This is also the importance of pruning your database.
Mm-hmm.
In Build Your Own Business, we do talk about, there's a whole module in there about the importance of letting people go from your database.
Yeah.
I went through this a lot when I was a Dave Ramsey endorsed realtor because, you have to follow, that was like the online lead through that source.
For sure.
And they would build and grow and the list would get longer and longer, but I wasn't always getting responses.
Right.
And I had a few things that I said too that would get a response like, hey, if you no longer need my services, just let me know. I'd be happy to take you off my list.
Right.
Or, hey, I'm updating my file.
Yeah.
I have in my file that you were looking to buy in this area. Is that still true? Once I just started giving them permission to say, no, I actually don't need you anymore, they would respond.
Right.
If I would beat around the bush and be like, hey, just
like try to hang on to them.
Yeah. Just checking
Can't wait till you buy your home.
Yeah. Have you seen anything lately? I'm still searching.
I'm here. I'm ready for you.
Yeah. That never got a response.
No, you just be like, hey, have you given up on this?
Have you given up on this? Then they respond and say, yes. And sometimes they would be like, hey, I ended up buying the house I was renting. Hey, I ended up buying my mom's house. Hey, my aunt's actually a realtor. Like I got real responses.
Yes.
And the closure.
You're like, great. I don't need you on this list.
And the more I was pruning, the happier I got.
Right.
And then I'd be like, you know what? This is my last email. And then I'm never going to email this person again because I have followed up with them 27 times. Do you tell them
that in the email? This is the last time I'm going to reach out or I'm going to remove you from the list. Just wanted to check in one last time before I remove you from my list.
Yeah, I used that verbiage a few times.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think too, saying like, I'm going through my files reminded them like, I'm a business.
Yeah, like I'm trying to keep track of you.
I'm trying to help you. Do you not want my help? Because I can remove your file if you would like. And sometimes they would respond and just say, you can remove my file.
Great.
No answer. Just
fine.
Great. Thank you. And I would always respond and be like, I just want to say thank you for responding.
Yes.
Because it allows me to do my job.
Move on and help someone else.
So thank you.
Great.
And I mean that.
Truly.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This was great.
This is so great.
Ready to go make some phone calls?
I can't wait to hear what your lady says because that dude is never going to talk to you. Just saying. Okay, are we ready for a toast?
Do you remember that part in He's Just Not That Into You?
Probably. Let's talk about it.
When she's talking to Drew Barrymore and she's trying to tell her like, he didn't call. And she's like, well, maybe his grandma died. I probably used this analogy before.
I think
on
you
the
have,
show.
but finish it. I love it.
She's like, maybe he's out of town or his grandma died.
She's like, he's a realtor. His job is to be in town.
She's like, no, her narratives in that movie are just
so good.
Always spinning of why so-and-so is not calling her back.
Right.
Same thing.
But why he's still interested.
Yeah, he's still interested.
And then the guy friend is like, nope. I'm just not into you.
Not into it.
Not into you. The simplest answer is usually the answer.
And then she was so free.
Right.
When she was like, oh, he just doesn't like me.
I move on.
Wow.
Move on.
How freeing.
Right, because being stuck and tied to that stress, the problem right now is that it's the new construction house. So it's just dragging on and on. That's the problem.
It ends with a paycheck.
probably a nice one.
I need to just start looking at the bright side.
Be like, you know what? You just wanted me to look at you like a paycheck? Fine.
I will.
Fine. I tried to work. You didn't want me to. This is what you wanted.
I'll give it to you.
And he'll probably be happy about it.
Yeah, and thank you for letting me be involved.
Then take the friend out to dinner.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for referring your dad.
Yeah.
He's something. Don't say that. Don't say that.
Yeah.
Okay, are we ready for a toast?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, here's a toast from our friends at our next conference.
Okay, great.
Okay, bye, y'all.
Hey, y'all. I'm Laura Lee Smith with the Life on the Brazos Group in College Station, Texas. Today, I am toasting my buyer's agent and showing specialist, Naomi Smith, who has now turned into my best friend, biggest cheerleader, confidant, and my girl Friday. Anytime I need something with work, with personal, she is always there, and she has helped my business grow tremendously having her on my side. So cheers, Naomi. I love you.
Thank you so much for tuning in to the Hustle Humbly podcast.
If you enjoyed this episode, please go to ratethispodcast.com/hustlehumbly and leave us a review or drop a comment if you're listening on Spotify.
If you have an episode topic or someone you'd like to toast on the show, please email us at team@hustlehumblypodcast.com.
Find us on social media at Hustle Humbly Podcast. Don't forget to find all of the free resources at hustlehumblypodcast.com/resources.
See you next week.